Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Thursday, September 5th. Sorry for the delay yesterday in getting the video up, done on time. Well, I got to the shop. I was doing invoicing. We were trying to knock stuff out because we're still trying to load cows on Wednesdays and Thursdays to get them to the sale barn. So, of course, my battery went dead on my phone, so I left it at the shop while we delivered three head to the sale barn. So I didn't realize until we got back that, wait a minute, I forgot to upload this. So I uploaded it before we went to doing anything else. But this morning's video, what are we going to talk about? Well, I want to kind of extend on yesterday's video, but with Pete, maybe you brought up some good questions and comments. And I think we need to kind of delve further into that. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. Listening pleasure. My name is Eric, and today is August 5th. It's a Thursday. So, what do I mean by delving into it a little further? Well, when I say first in, first out, I'm assuming that, see, we have in my shop, we have your regulars, and then we have your, what we call the slow down midwinter projects. And I line those up every year. And in lining them up, because what I try to do is I try to look at when is the slow time for the shop, right? And then I start filling those dates with as many bigger jobs that I can. And the problem that you can run into with bigger jobs is one is you may not get any pay for a while, but we'll come back to that. But when it comes to running a regular repair shop and stuff has come in for repairs, it's easy to get the mindset of this one is going to take me all day, so I'll put this off. And next thing you know, there's a month has passed, and that owner has showed up demanding their piece of equipment back, fixed or unfixed, in a huffy, which I can't blame them, wanting to take it to a different shop. See, you only planned on just putting it off for a couple of days, but now it's been a month. And the guy that said they're not in any hurry are the ones I find in the biggest hurry. I've had stuff dropped off and have time to read, no big hurry, and then calling the next day to find out if it's ready yet. Yeah. So if you adopt the strategy of first in, first out, for the most part, it's going to keep all your customers somewhat happy. Instead of some ecstatic and others pissed, And I said, you can't please everybody all the time, but if the person has got a legitimate gripe, and that is, it's been there for a month, and you still haven't turned a wrench on it, you still don't know even what's wrong with it, can you blame the guy or gal? That's where it's nice to have more than one person in the shop. Because you can put one guy on just doing the service work, the stuff that's repetitious, get it in, get it out, get it in, get it out. And then put the other guy, the more experienced guy, on maybe the something more depth, tear down wise, to try to find what's going on with it. The thing I don't like about that type of thing is when you're trying to mentor somebody, and instead of just having them do services all the time, they need to learn as well, right? So you kind of want them involved in the process, your thought process of how you go about coming up with a diagnosis on, let's say, an engine or a rototiller or what have you. The longer you've been at this, the quicker you're going to come to a diagnostic for the most part, because good chances are you've probably seen it before, or at least you know what's going on that's causing it to get you to start looking in that area, right? And let me add also that, when it comes to taking stuff in, you really need to have some experience there. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you need to have some experience there that says it's not worth us taking the job on, because I already know it's going to cost more than what you're willing to pay, yada, yada, yada. Here are the reasons. And we give them an option. If you want to leave it, you're going to get hit with a $40 service charge just for diagnostic to tell you that you aren't going to want to fix it. So instead of bringing it in, we can do a compression check quick out on the back of your truck or your trailer. But any further than that, this is what you're looking at. Are you sure you still want it fixed? And that gets rid of the PETAs, the pain in the ass folks that are bringing you their stuff. You can't please everybody all the time. And the more you try to please people and try to take on every job that's there, the more PETAs you're going to have. Because they're going to get the mindset, oh, you've been at it for a while, you must think it's fixable for a reasonable price. Not the cost of 2 brand new ones to replace it. So, keep that in mind when you're running a repair shop, whether it's an auto or a small engine or a tractor. You need to pick and choose, and you need to be honest with yourself and your customer of what the costs are that are involved. And we had one this past week that the customer called. He's a regular, and he said that he couldn't get the lawnmower to do anything, and could we come fix it? Well, when we got there, we first thought that because he thought he might have broke the belt on the mower because he couldn't get the mower to work. So we got there, and there's a safety switch at the end of that handle for the manual on a Craftsman. It's on the fender. And there's a safety switch right there, right? And what had happened is he first let too much stuff build up underneath the deck so that it was not allowing the pulley to move freely. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, but it is what it is. Well, in the mechanism, there's a spring that pulls that handle down to hold the button down, right? When you have it disengaged. Well, when you disengaged it, it wouldn't come all the way down into the safety switch button. So when he stopped it and went to start it, he wouldn't have anything, right? It wouldn't allow it to start. It'd be a no start because of a safety switch telling the system that the mower deck was still in gear. And that's what it's supposed to do. But the safety switch was fine. It was the spring in the handle part that holds it down. To most people, they would have just went ahead and replaced the safety switch. They would have replaced the cable going down through, and probably a few other things. But in the end, it just needed that one spring on the handle mechanism to keep it in the down position when it's out. So, to someone that hadn't seen it before, you could spend a couple hours. But for someone that has seen it before, I look at it and say, look, it's got to be in that mower deck system. And if it's not allowing it to start, it's got to be in that safety switch system. And if it's not mowing, possibly a belt broke or come off a pulley. Those are things that go through my mind, all right? And we still blew the deck off because it needed it bad. And made sure all the pulleys were working, made sure the cable going up through was good, and then localized what the issue was, got the spring, knocked it out. Another happy customer. And you could have spent, like I say, quite a bit of time on that. It wasn't there for a service because it had already been serviced earlier this year. And most of our customers don't mow that much to where they need to have it serviced more than once a year. Some probably don't even need it that many with the amount of hours, but we recommend it. Not for income for us, but just, we call it a cheap, get out of jail free card. It's regular maintenance does make your equipment last, you know. I've never heard of over maintenance hurting anything. So, getting back to the topic, and the topic is first in, first out. As I was saying, you know, we take in the bigger projects, like if a customer wants an engine rebuilt, if we have tractor jobs where we need to replace clutches, engine work, transmission, hydraulics. I try to push all these guys towards the fall of the year, fall, winter. And you say, why? Well, first off, that's my slow period. That's where we could pick up some extra work to do the stuff to keep money coming into the shop, to keep payroll and keep everything else going. But a lot of shops can't afford to function this way. And what do I mean by this way? I mean, if with farm tractors, we could fit 4 smaller ones in the shop for the winter. You start on one, get it tore down, order the parts. I don't order parts until I see exactly what it is, because sometimes it turns out to be not even remotely close to, you know, it needs more than just what we thought, right? And I can give you an example of that. You know, we had a John Deere, they're getting put back together, but it was a 401B. And the hydraulics went just like that. And we thought that strange. And most people would just go ahead and order a new hydraulic pump, right? I had a spare that goes on my tractors that would fit the same John Deere group. So I told Claude, let's check that first. I've got a spare, it's a good spare. Let's see if that brings the hydraulics back. We did that. Nothing. Didn't change the fact. So had I ordered a brand new pump for the customer, it's like 500 and some bucks. They'd have been out 500 and some bucks. Yeah, they'd have had a new pump, but it wasn't something that they needed to have, right? And our job still is to help save our customers money. And we kept working our way back until we come to the transmission pump. And the transmission pump is like a small hydraulic. and it feeds the big hydraulic pump in the front. So if this one isn't working correctly, it's not going to feed the front one, right? So once we started seeing bolts missing, laying in the bottom of the belly of the tractor, we knew we found our issue, but just how bad the issue was, right? So I still didn't order any parts until we had everything out and laid out. What do I need? What kind of seals do I need? O-rings, flat washers, what parts do I need? So we make a parts list on the first one, all tore down. We take and cover it with a white cloth so you can't get any dirt and anything else in it if we have the engine or have anything exposed to the weather, even inside the shop. And go on to tractor 2. And hopefully by the time you get to tractor 3, the parts are in for tractor 1. And you can go back and get that finished and get it kicked out so that you got a paycheck coming in. The downfall of it, sometimes you're working on it for 2 to 3 weeks, so you don't see any paychecks. And I would encourage, if you're just getting started in the business, to get your money up front for parts, because I've seen customers all gung-ho until you tell them the bill, and then they walk away and they tell you can have it. So if you're going to get stuck with it, at least get your parts money. And you can always sell the tractor if you get stuck with the tractor. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. But the main theme for today's video is, A, you still need to do first in, first out. Really. It's easy to look at, okay, if I do services all day long, I can make a lot more money than I can if I spend all day working on this piece of equipment, right? Because you're getting money on parts and labor. If you're not going to be in a big hurry to do that job, why take it on? Because it's only going to end in a PETA customer. And they have every right to be a PETA at that point. Like I explained with the month out. It's easy to do as a shop. It's easy to fall into that. Claude is constantly, well, I thought we'd go with these because these are good quick payers. I understand that. But now you're going to be stuck with a bunch of long payers, and you're going to be tying up the shop instead of having a little bit of both going on inside the shop, right? If you know it's going to be a PETA buyer, and they're going to be a PETA buyer because you know that they're not going to be happy no matter what you do, why take it on? Why put your shop in jeopardy as far as, isn't it just as easy at that point in time to tell the customer, sorry, I'm not willing to take this on? Or we're really busy right now, you might want to take it to a different shop. I'd rather have the customer walk than be a thorn in my side. You got to be honest with your customer, every time. And when you're first starting out in this business, yes, it takes a while to establish yourself to the point of where you can start getting rid of those PETAs. Because there are guys and gals that are PETAs no matter what, all right? And another shop may call them a PETA, but they're fine with me. So, a lot of it is from shop to shop, too, and how that customer expects to be treated. And for the longer jobs, if you can push them back to fall, winter when you have a slow time, even if you give the customer a reduced so much off, 5-10% off the labor rate, to get them to bring it back in the fall so you can work on it through the fall and winter. Now it's a win-win because now you're taking up time that is normally slow and you're filling it with jobs that are paying jobs that you can devote a whole day to one project and get it done, get it out. I mean, does that make any sense? So on that note, you guys have a great Thursday. We'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning. What are your thoughts on that? How do you run your shop? Jason has taught me a lot, and that is you don't take in every machine just because it shows up at the door. It doesn't take just a minute or two to step outside that door before they unload it and throw a compression tester on it. Now, granted, a compression tester may say it's got bad valves or out of adjustment, or a push rod is bent. It could be a number of things, right? But I go more with who the customer is than I do the machine, so that we don't have upset customers. So on that note, you guys have a great day. First in, first out. You got to do it. I know. But in the long run, you're going to say you're right. Talk to you later. Thanks so much for watching.